Welcome to This Explainer. Lately I've really been thinking about those slow, quiet mornings in a small backyard garden, just stepping outside with a warm cup of coffee, letting the morning light set this really contemplative tone for the day, and wandering over to see how the tomatoes and cucumbers are doing. It is such a peaceful image, but of course, as literally any gardener knows, you're never actually the only one enjoying that garden. Nature always claims its share, doesn't it? You walk out there and see snails just happily chewing away on the lettuce, or birds deciding that your tomatoes look absolutely perfect for breakfast. Oh, and the squirrels? It feels like they always know the exact day a bell pepper is ready, and they somehow manage to get there exactly one day before you do. I remember looking at a garden like that and thinking, well, this is just a terrible return on investment for a gardener. It really is, at least by our standard calculations of efficiency. But then, there's always that one hard, totally dry corner of the garden that you nearly give up on. The soil just seems completely hopeless. Yet, after weeks of watering, adding a little compost, and just a great deal of patience, something finally begins to grow there. It made me realize that fields are far more patient than we are, and perhaps God is too. Which brings us perfectly to the ancient parable of the sower. For the longest time, I always thought this story was just a mirror, basically a way of deciding which kind of soil I am. We picture this farmer walking through a field, scattering expensive seed across every single kind of ground. Right, and most of us were taught to read it exactly that way. But lately, I've been wondering if we've been paying attention to the wrong character this whole time. The farmer is surprisingly extravagant. He scatters seed everywhere, on the worn-down path, among the rocks, right into the thorn bushes. A sensible first-century farmer would literally never deliberately do that. Seed wasn't cheap. It seems wildly extravagant. Honestly, it almost seems wasteful. Exactly. No sensible farmer would deliberately throw seed where it clearly won't grow. Unless, of course, the point of this story isn't about farming technique at all. Unless Jesus is using this to reveal something deeply profound about the actual character of God. Maybe what looks wasteful to us simply looks like love to God. I absolutely love that framework. It brings in this concept of process theology. Think about it. We usually operate entirely on efficiency, right? We only invest our time, our money, and our energy where success seems like a sure thing. But divine love acts completely differently. Love cannot be forced. Love always invites. It always offers possibility. It gently persuades, but it never coerces. That is such a beautiful paradigm shift, and it completely changes how we approach the parable. Instead of that anxious self-examination of asking, well, which soil am I? Maybe we should be asking, where in my life is each kind of soil? It's just a much more holistic, compassionate view of our own complex hearts. That is so true, because our lives contain all of these places simultaneously. We have places in us that have become hard. Areas hardened by grief, by disappointment, or just one letdown too many. We have rocky places where our faith springs up so quickly but really struggles to survive when life gets incredibly difficult. We have thorny places too, crowded out by worry, by fear, and that endless pressure of busyness. And, thankfully, by God's grace, we have good soil as well, places that are already bearing beautiful fruit. And here's something fascinating. Biblical scholars actually point out that in Jesus' day, farmers often scattered the seed before plowing the field. So the original listeners wouldn't have pictured four separate, neatly divided fields. They'd picture one whole landscape. We are not just one single kind of ground. We are an entire field with all those incredibly varied patches right side by side. And I think here is the truly comforting news at the heart of this explainer. God doesn't only sow into the promising parts of us. God keeps planting hope into the wounded places, the hard places, the totally distracted places. Because every single seed is another invitation. It's another possibility, another beginning. It really highlights a deep, beautiful contrast between human efficiency and divine extravagance. We are so incredibly quick to give up on unlikely people, or even the unfinished parts of ourselves, aren't we? We calculate the odds and just decide nothing good will ever grow there. But the sower relentlessly refuses to stop planting. We might call that wasteful, but the sower just keeps patiently walking our field. Maybe that is exactly why grace feels so extravagant to us, or maybe that's simply what love actually looks like. So perhaps no part of us is ever beyond God's reach, and no person we've ever given up on is beyond God's hope.
If God is still sowing,
Then no story is finished.